have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Dr. King is known by his powerful words and nonviolent protests, yet many tend to forget the struggles that African Americans faced during the Civil Rights Movement. Dr. King and many others placed their lives on the line for equal rights, for the chance to have a free and equal world. Dr. King is more than just a day off or a famous speech, yet an icon that questioned and changed America. Dr. King's tactfulness and nonviolent protest was the dominant force during the Civil Rights Movement. It is a dishonor that many do not take pride in their heritage and consider that Dr. King's day is a day off. The MiXx presents a tribute to Dr. King and the leaders of the Civil Rights Movement. We would like to thank you for your leadership, dedication, and courage. Word on the Street presents Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Trivia.
It's your girl Jessica here with Word on the Street. Today we're going to find out what some students here know about Dr. Martin Luther King in honor of his holiday. So let's find out what they know.
You can test your knowledge too. Throughout the show, answer the questions and at the end, see where you rank. Good luck! Question 1. When was the I Have a Dream speech delivered?
When was the I Have a Dream speech delivered?
The I Have a Dream speech was delivered in 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C.
That's knowledge.
Question 2. When is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday?
Do you guys know the real birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King?
January 15th.
Okay. Good job. That's right.
I'm working at a predominantly white institution right now, and that wouldn't be in a number of areas in our country had he not stood up for what he stood up for.
Well, I was born and raised in Mississippi during the Civil Rights era. In fact, I was in grade school pretty much during throughout the whole course of the 60s. Mississippi was a tough place to be, I think, at that time.
But what stuck out in my mind was that snowstorm in April in Memphis, 10 inches of snow. I'd only seen that once before in my life, and I was really wondering if God was giving us some kind of message. What is the impact of this man going to be, that it takes a snowstorm to stop everything from going forward? So that's what I think of most. The foreboding of a snowstorm in a mid-southern town just before this man loses his life.
In my child's mind, I was able to see Dr. King, or think of Dr. King as a human being, as a person that somebody had just arbitrarily shot for no apparent good reason. And it changed my mind, at least as much as I could understand about what the civil rights movement, what equal rights, what black folks were wanting.
I think of an individual that was clear about his abilities, an individual that was clear on his purpose. He was also clear on a major problem in our society.
So I remember once going to a bathroom in a department store that was for colored, and you really couldn't see the sign that said for colored, but the people who ran the store would say, well, that's the one that you're supposed to use. And I'd heard my grandparents say, well, they'll send you to the right bathroom, but I didn't know it was because of my skin tone. And I remember that was the dirtiest bathroom, for the store to be so clean and the things to be so expensive. I couldn't understand why there was this bathroom that looked like that. So there was restriction, and there were pockets of goodness, and that's what made it a very confusing time for me.
In grade school, particularly when when integration first came, when I was in second grade, I think it was, there were lots of demonstrations, you know, just sort of not necessarily formal demonstrations, but just mobs of people would show up, like at schools when the first day of school would happen. But probably one of the worst times was when forced busing, when the Supreme Court ruled that desegregation had to occur, and white students and black students were bused to the different schools around the cities and towns and so forth. And that created just an incredible amount of tension, at least where I grew up.
First thing that comes to mind is that because he worked with the Montgomery bus boycott and helped to desegregate the buses, and that was such a powerful part of the civil rights movement, it's very possible that I would not be able to work at a predominantly white institution as I do now. So he was a pioneer in revolutionizing our society.
Oh, it's pretty certain I wouldn't be sitting at Ball State University had it not been for Martin Luther King. One, because as a young person in high school, the majority of the African American professors were at historically black colleges and universities, not at predominantly white institutions.
Would he be pleased? I think he would be pleased. I think he would definitely see that there's still work to be done.
The professorial part of me thinks that he would be very, very sad about some of the things, because there was an air of pride in being a part of a black family that I grew up in, that my grandparents grew up in, that my parents grew up in, that I don't see so much today. The family wasn't as broken up.
I certainly don't think it's consistent with Dr. King's message, the rates of black on black crime.
Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men.
I mean, there's been significant changes in that way. You know, there's a black man running for president. Who'd have thought that?
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Man, I am so tired of black people showing a lack of interest in their own culture. I mean, they give us a breakfast 7 o'clock in the morning on Dr. King's birthday, and we can't even get up for one day to go to breakfast. I mean, I'm tired of seeing white people being more interested in our culture than we are in our own. And Dr. King, we owe him a lot more than what we give him.
Okay, what makes me mad about Martin Luther King Day is that he went through so much trouble, and Rosa Parks went through so much trouble to get black people to sit at the front of the bus. And when they're gone and they're both dead, all of a sudden we head to the back of the bus. The moment I get on the bus, all the black people head right to the back of the bus, and there's a whole bunch of seats up front. I don't understand that.